So I want to talk about where we are right now. We have completed stage one. We've prepared our clients for what treatment and therapy looks like. We have established some positive expectancy, and building on that, we are every session that we're doing feedback informed therapy. We are honing in, getting Goldilocks our therapeutic relationship. Our clients are engaged in the process. We've taught them about their autonomic nervous system functioning, and we have sent them out into their world to begin the process of reciprocal inhibition, of exposure and relaxation, in vivo exposure, also called direct therapeutic exposure. And for a lot of your clients, they're going to start coming back and their life's getting better. And they're reporting less symptoms. They're reporting better quality of life. They are enjoying their life. They're starting to see a vision for how that they can live the rest of their lives without having this affliction that they had before they came to see you. And for those clients that this is working, there's not any reason to do anything else. I think you can add to it the pieces that I'm going to do at the end of this training around forward-facing trauma therapy and starting to work on helping them to live a principle-based life and repair that morality for them. And that's pretty cool to add to the picture. But you don't need to treat anymore. You don't need to dig into anything more if they've got traction here and are going forward. So the gear shifting that happens here is that I am doing less and less and less therapy and more and more coaching. I'm helping them to identify the places in their lives where they are perceiving threat and where they're struggling to self-regulate, and sending them out at the end of that session to confront those situations in a relaxed muscle body. And for the clients that that's working for, usually we're kind of headed towards termination and completion, because what happens is they just start finding that they're able to do it, and they don't want to keep paying your fees to have a better quality of life, and that's great. What I've found is that my clients, for a lot of them, as they have practiced self-regulation, they'll get, spend 2 or 3 or 4 weeks with me doing that and get good at it and go off, and then 6 months later they will have encountered something that triggered them or that kind of overwhelmed them, and they come back and they need some support, or sometimes we end up doing some memory processing and some EMDR, and then they're gone for another year, and then they call me and something else has come up, and so it's more of a kind of consultant basis at that point. So you're going to, using this method of self-regulation as the centerpiece, you're just going to find your clients resolving a lot more quickly. But you're also going to find, if you're working with folks that have PTSD and complex PTSD, is you're going to find a significant percentage, 40 to 60%, depending upon the intensity level that you're working with, who are not going to resolve with what you've with what you've done with them. So with those, and that they're having significant impairment, and they are struggling in early treatment. So with them, stage 2 expands. With the folks that self-regulation is working for, we do self-regulation, and that's it. But for the ones that are having more difficulty, that they're not stabilizing, that they're still struggling, they're having a lot of flashbacks, they're not functioning very well, then I need to build some other skills. And that's what I want to kind of move you guys through right now, and spend a little bit of front end of talking about what this stage of treatment looks like, and then do a bunch of skills building to fill up your toolkit with things to actually do in treatment. So that starts with Judy Herman. And I talked about her at the beginning of this course. She's a psychiatrist. She published a book in 1992 that really moved forward the field. It moved us into our own thing of psychotraumatology. And one of the things that she did was that she looked back through time since, to 1980 and then all the way back to the 1880s, looking at what was effective with treatment. And remember that the treatment du jour, when she wrote this book, still kind of at the top of the heap was flooding or implosion. And that was taking combat veterans and rape survivors and putting them very early in treatment back into the trauma and having them kind of repeat over and over, doing brute force exposure-based treatment. And so she wanted to promulgate a different idea. And so she, in her book, she went back through time and found out that all the treatments that were effective used some form of a triphasic model. And so she brought forward in this book the triphasic model. And that triphasic model, that she called it, is safety, remembrance and mourning, and reconnection. And she suggested to the field that this is the way that we needed to be treating trauma. And since that time, all of the major professional organizations, APAs, ACA, NASW, AAMFT, have all embraced the triphasic model as standard of care for the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder. If you're not treating trauma in a triphasic model, you're malpracticing. I mean, it's pretty cut and dried. Now, what we've kind of discovered, this was theoretical when Judy brought it forward, based on her own anecdotal experience, but still pretty much theoretical. What we found is that the triphasic model is rarely triphasic. For most of our clients, 90 or 95% of our clients, the triphasic model is really biphasic. Because once we get safe and stabilized, and once we've helped our clients to integrate and desensitize their trauma memories, they don't hang around in treatment and do that last phase of reconnection. They don't pay our fees and stay in therapy to do that last phase. Occasionally you do. Occasionally you get a client that stays around for that, and it's really cool work. It's whipped cream on top of the pie. It's soulful. It's a lot of cognitive restructuring. It's meaning making. It's goal setting. It's integration. There's a lot of really cool stuff that goes into that, but it's different for everybody. And it's just rare that you're going to get to do it. So for the purposes of this course, we're going to focus on those first two stages of safety and stabilization. And that was what she articulated in '92. Now in the 21st century, we've kind of added a third thing to that, is that, to move forward into trauma memory processing, your clients need to be safe, they need to be stable, and they need to have the requisite skills to not get re-traumatized from addressing the memories. And with those three things accomplished, then you can open the gates to doing memory processing if necessary. In essence, that's it. Now, after Judy published her book in the mid-90s, 94, 95, 96, you can pick up any journal, any edition of the Journal of Traumatic Stress, and you'll find in just about every one of those editions is an article on something about early treatment or safety. It was a big topic. There was a lot of discussion about that. Before I get to that, let me just show you what we've done with our, Judy's triphasic model on the left-hand side, our empowerment and resilience structure on the right-hand side. What we did was we built the empowerment and resilience structure on top of, we grafted it on top of the triphasic model. So in the way that this course has been presented, with the preparation and relationship stage, with the psychoeducation and skills building stage, with the desensitization and integration, and with post-traumatic growth and resilience, those mirror the first two stages of our empowerment and resilience structure, mirror the safety and stabilization phase of Judy's triphasic model. The desensitization and integration phase of stage 3 of ours mirrors the remembrance and mourning phase of Judy's model, and the post-traumatic growth and resilience mirrors the reconnection. Judy's model is a navigational strategy through treatment. Ours, 21st century, is both a navigational strategy through treatment, but it's also a delivery system for the active ingredients that work for all traumas. So it's a little bit more sophisticated. So I wanted to show you that we are in concert and harmony with that. Now, as I was saying, in the mid-90s, by 1998, even though a bunch of people had been writing about safety and how important it was, nobody had empiricized it. And in 1998, I wrote an article in the Journal of Traumatology, and what I did was attempt to empiricize. How do you know you have good enough safety and stabilization with your client? And this was peer reviewed, and it's kind of stayed out there for a while, and it's been cited a whole bunch. So we're going to use it. And I wasn't smart enough to do this then. It was a happy accident that the first three things are something that we do with all of our clients. And then the last, and really the sixth one we do with all of our clients, maintain a non-anxious presence, parasympathetic dominant nervous system. But 4 and 5, we really are only doing if in that mid-treatment assessment we find out that our clients are still having criterion B symptoms to the level that we need to go back and resolve them. If they're not having criterion B symptoms, we're not going back. We're, as I said earlier, we're continuing to go forward. So let me unpack a little bit of this with you. So first of all is the first one. You cannot do memory processing with people who are in real danger. And I want you to understand why. And for those of you who have ever done trauma memory processing with somebody who's an adult survivor of childhood abuse, or who have done memory processing with a combat veteran, what shape are they in after we've done that kind of desensitization with the memory, where they've done the narrative work, we've gone back into it, and they've done some integration of that? What shape are they in afterwards? There is an acute regression of functioning with most people when we do a memory processing for 24 to 36 hours. They drop in their ability to function. That they're whelmed. They're fully whelmed, and it's hard for them to work. It's hard for them to concentrate. It's hard for them to parent. Their functioning diminishes. And what happens is over the next 24 to 36 hours is they come back up to 75, 80, 85% functioning. To come back up to 100%, it takes a week or two. And if we're doing a week later, we're doing another uncovering, then what you have is another acute regression and slow but gradual recovery. And then if there's another one, then what you're seeing is all of these acute regressions, but also there's a slog, a period of time, weeks, sometimes with some clients months, of where they're just slogging through this memory work, and we're doing a different memory every week, and it's painful, it's difficult. Now they come out on the back end of that, and if we're successful, then their lives are a whole lot better. But while we're doing that work, it's messy. Their lives get messy. And for somebody who is in real danger, we can't diminish their functioning. They're using all of their resources, all of their capacities to survive. So it is malpractice to do trauma memory uncovering with people who are still in real danger. What is treatment for people who are in real danger? It's case management. That we're building safety plans. We're helping them to access and utilize resources. We're looking at them through the lens of Maslow's pyramid. If they're not safe, we need to help them get safe. If they don't have food, clothing, and shelter, we need to help them to achieve those things. If they don't have any support, then we need to help them to develop those capacities. That those are more case management focused things than they are actually kind of cognitive or behavioral therapy, that we are helping them to procure and utilize resources. Now, here's a tricksy question. How about people that choose to stay in dangerous or violent situations? Is it possible to do effective treatment with those folks? And the answer is yes, it is. You just can't do uncovering. So how can you do effective trauma therapy with people that you can't access the memories with? Well, you got to do it all forward facing. So the exposure that we're doing is exposure in the environment, is that direct therapeutic exposure, is helping them to activate and catalyze reciprocal inhibition by confronting those things in the environment, like I did yesterday with the portfolio. You know, the things which are imbued with perceived threat here in the present because of the trauma of the past. As we help our clients to confront those things here in the present in a relaxed body, they're resolving the trauma of the past. And I've got data with clients, single systems design data, with both, there are two populations of which I've worked that have chosen to stay in real danger, and those are law enforcement and domestic violence. Those are two populations of folks that frequently choose to stay in the environment where they are in real danger. And when I'm working with law enforcement, I teach them stronger, faster, smarter to self-regulate, which is trauma treatment proper. It's just not packaged as treatment. It's packaged as performance enhancement. But as they are regulating their autonomic nervous system, their traumatic stress symptoms are abating. Now, we may find that they're still having criterion B symptoms, and then we got to have a discussion with them about, do they want to take some time off work? Do they want to take a desk job for a period of time? Or do they want to just, grind on forward and seeing what happens with us keeping going forward and continuing to regulate? We need to have that discussion with them. Same is true for domestic violence. For those of you who work with domestic violence, the survivors of domestic violence, I've worked with a good many. And one of the things that's interesting is that they frequently report something that's worse than being hit is the expectancy of being hit. That's the worst part, is the waiting, is the anticipation of when's it coming. And, some sad work for me is when I've built a good enough therapeutic relationship with domestic violence survivor that they will tearfully sometimes tell me, I go ahead and elicit and provoke the violence just to get it over with. It's sad. And they talk about that period of time, that latency period of time before it continues to build into an explosion, with a metaphor. And the metaphor I hear most used is, it's like walking on eggshells. I'm wondering if you guys have an effective treatment for walking on eggshells. Yeah, you do. That self-regulation is, as a person relaxes the muscles in their body, they're no longer walking on eggshells. The worst part of domestic violence, reported by a lot of domestic violence survivors, you have an effective treatment that you can implement of helping them to regulate while they are in real danger, and teaching them that as a performance enhancement skill. They are stronger, they are faster, and they are smarter in that situation, in a regulated autonomic nervous system, of practicing relaxed vigilance instead of the instinctual hypervigilance. And the more they do that, the less they are suffering traumatic stress symptoms, and the more neocortex that they have. And what's interesting about that is, not everyone, but a lot of my clients that I've worked with, as they have gotten better at self-regulating, who are in active domestic violence situations, they come in, third, fourth, fifth session after I've been coaching them to practice self-regulation, and they look at me with this perplexed look on their face and say, what the hell am I still doing here? And as they have more neocortical functioning, that what's happened is that they can't even entertain the idea of leaving because it's so scary. The thought of that, of leaving, of not having the protection of that relationship, of not having that engagement, the loss of that, even though it's contentious, it's still really important, has been so scary for them. The loss of that dream, that the space has collapsed and they've not been able to play out an alternative. They can't hold a vision of a different alternative. So they keep the devil they know. With the fully functioning neocortex, they start finding themselves willing to entertain alternative outcomes. And that's treatment proper. So we cannot do memory processing. We can't take our clients back to the memories as long as they are still in real danger. Now, akin to that is the next thing that we need to make sure that our clients have the ability to do in early treatment is to discern the difference of, is this a really dangerous situation or is this a perceived threat? And that goes both ways. I mean, I've had clients that put themselves in really dangerous situations and they are not aware that they're in dangerous situations, that they're so numbed out that they just don't have that awareness of that threat response anymore. Or the other way, of where they are constantly perceiving threat and believing that they're in danger and they're shutting down their lives. So that what we have to do is that we have to help them to begin to discern what is a real threat versus what is a perceived threat. And, once again, if the danger's real, we are now doing case management and helping them to find ways to not suffer, to not be in danger. If the threat is perceived, then what we're doing is that we're teaching them self-regulation and coaching them to confront those situations instead of avoiding them, to confront them in a relaxed muscle body so they are desensitizing. And so everything in early treatment, what's pretty cool is it goes down those two Y's. Is it real danger? Do we need to do case management and build skills and procure resources? Or do we need to help you to confront those things which are scary but not dangerous? And that's made things a whole lot more simple for me. And then if we're going to admonish our clients to get and keep their bodies relaxed while they are confronting things which are scary, then it is incumbent upon us to teach them some skills to be able to do that. Now, I teach every single one of my clients what I taught you. I do the tools for hope with every single one of my clients. I teach them about their autonomic nervous, I teach about perceived threat, their autonomic nervous system, and then I show them the self-regulation skills. Not every client do I teach relaxation skills to. I only am going to teach the rest of these skills that I'm about to go into with you to those clients that need more than just self-regulation.